Dear friends, no. Thank you very much, that's your job, not mine. Dear friends, welcome. Tere tulemast. Bem-vindos. This evening we are celebrating the National Day of Portugal that happened 2 days ago on the 10th of June. On this day, we celebrate one of our main poets, Luís Vaz de Camões, but also the Portuguese communities abroad. And what a better way of doing this than to do it with an amazing piano concert with one of our major Portuguese pianists, Adriano Jordão, and among the Portuguese community living in Estonia, but also in Finland, Latvia, and Lithuania, as we are also celebrating with them, unfortunately online, as we could not implement our project to take this concert to each one of the capitals of these countries due to the pandemics. This evening, we are also celebrating the Portuguese presidency of the Council of the European Union. That is coming to an end in a few weeks. It was an intense and hard work, especially during these difficult times we are all living, but I'm right when I say that Portugal managed to do it in a very positive way, helping to find solutions that can move us start to deliver a fair, green, digital recovery of Europe. This evening, we are lucky to have with us Adriano Jordão, an amazing pianist, but also a friend. He will perform some selected pieces from more than 50 years old career from Portuguese and European composers. What best way to celebrate these two fantastic events? Without further ado, I now will give the floor to Kristi. She is an Estonian student of Portuguese, and she will present Adriano in Portuguese for our Portuguese citizens also to understand. Without further ado, please, Kristi.
Obrigada. Boa tarde, chamo-me Kristi, eu sou Estónia. A primeira vez que fui para Portugal foi há 6 anos, desde esse dia que estou apaixonada. Estudo português desde setembro de 2021 na Universidade de Talin. Ainda não consigo dizer tudo que desejo, mas tenho um sonho, falar fluentemente. E se calhar viver em Portugal. Caros amigos, bem-vindos! Hoje celebramos o Dia de Portugal, que teve lugar no passado 10 de junho. Neste dia, celebramos um dos maiores poetas portugueses, Luís de Camões, mas também as comunidades portuguesas no exterior. Por isso, a melhor forma de o fazer é como um fantástico concerto de piano do grande pianista português, Adriano Jordão, entre a comunidade portuguesa que vive na Estónia, Finlândia, Letônia e Lituânia. Uma vez que também estamos a transmitir o concerto online, devido à pandemia. Esta tarde também celebramos a Presidência Portuguesa do Conselho da União Europeia, que chega ao fim em algumas semanas. Foi um trabalho intenso, mas Portugal fez-o de uma forma positiva, encontrando soluções para criar uma Europa melhor. Esta tarde, temos a sorte de ter conosco Adriano Jordão, um pianista maravilhoso. Vai tocar peças de compositores portugueses e europeus. Que melhor forma de celebrar estes 2 eventos? Sem mais demoras, deixo que desfrutem este maravilhoso concerto. Muito obrigada. Convosco, Adriano Jordão.
I would love to be able to speak Estonian like you do Portuguese. It's fantastic. I don't know how your professors, you can teach them. When I conceived this program, first of all, I must salute my ambassador and all of you. I thought like it was a round trip journey through Europe. First, my idea, I'm a little bit crazy. I thought I'm going to make 27 pieces. Then I thought, this is endless. And also gives me the great excuse to come back, because some very important composers, notably from the Baltic countries or northern countries, are not included in this program. So I had to make a choice. So I made the choice of European, very traditional European music, beginning with Carlos Seixas. Carlos Seixas was born, imagine, June 11th. So we are commemorating the Portuguese Day 10th of Camões, and Carlos Seixas was born June 11th, 1704. He was born in Coimbra. Coimbra was the university town of Portugal, was also for a moment the capital of Portugal, not at that time already. And he had the chance of living when the Portuguese court was very wealthy. It was King John V, our king, and the King John V married Princess Maria Anna from Austria and made a vow, I think it's a vow, saying, if I have a heir, I will build a huge cathedral and huge palace nearing his hunting place, which he did when Princess Maria Barbara was born. And Princess Maria Barbara is the first woman composer in Portugal known. The Braganza family is a very musical family, and she had the highest musical formation. Her father could afford it, so he wanted to have the best in Portugal, and the best was, at the time, clearly Domenico Scarlatti. Domenico Scarlatti, perhaps you don't know, lived actually in Lisbon more than 10 years, and then went with his princess to Madrid, where he died, when she was Queen of Spain, and she married King Ferdinand VI of Spain. Why do I tell this? Because this boy, Portuguese boy, being born in a court who has Domenico Scarlatti in permanence, who of course recognized his talent, a young kid, left Coimbra when he was 15. It's amazing. He was already Kapellmeister in Coimbra at 15. Those times are strange times. And then he went to Lisbon, where he was, then is the Kapellmeister of the Royal Chapel in Lisbon too, and of course in close connection with Scarlatti. That's obvious. Do you know, on those times, this Estonia piano did not exist. And the pieces, it's for the interpreter, it's always very interesting, because at those times, composers trusted in the players, in the interpreters. So we don't have indications of tempi or of nuances. I don't know if the piece was conceived to be played in an organ or in an harpsichord or in a spinet, and it could have appeared also in a small chamber music. So this gives a huge freedom. I only must, my idea to have it on the piano. That's a very good choice. So I tell you why. If you listen to records afterwards, even tempi can be very different. Because if I think this is for an organ, of course it's one thing. If I think this is for a spinet, of course it's a completely different thing. Also, for those who are more informed in music, when you think of those times, like in Spain, we had Padre Soler making the same type of music. It's so interesting to see that we don't have with Seixas that light of Italy. No, we have the light of Lisbon that is quite different, and sometimes a little sadness of our way of life. Nothing to do with Soler being a priest. He has much more salero than we have in our piece. But it's very beautiful music, and also historically very interesting, because the first concerto ever written specifically for, in that case, a harpsichord and the string orchestra, before Bach concerti, was Seixas concertos. It's a Portuguese beginning on this round trip. We'll finish in Portugal later on. So 3 sonatas. Thank you very much. I would need a lesson. How do you say thank you in Estonian? You must teach me afterwards. Now we jump. We jump over Spain, over France, and we arrive 1 foot in Germany, another foot in Hungary. Why? Because I'm going to play a piece. In this case, I have no choice. I know it was written for organ. And it was written for organ, which means 3 keyboards, 2 manual keyboards, plus the foot keyboard, plus the registers. It's a fantastic piece. I remember first time I played it, my God, some 60 years ago. I had a very nice review in Den Haag, in Holland. And since then, every time I play, my heart trembles because it's so complex, the fugue, that I all think, my God, I'm going to miss the thing. And nevertheless, 60 years is enough to have known it. I think. But it's so marvelous music that the icon of pianists, Franz Liszt, decided to take the score of the organ from Bach and make it for a piano. So in case we have no doubt, I'm going to play in the piano something written for the piano, although Mr. Bach made it for organ. Why this is so important for me? Because now I know that I have a piano, I don't have the doubt as before, am I in a court saloon, am I in a church? No, I'm at church. I'm certainly in Leipzig in the cathedral. The kind of sonority, acoustic of a cathedral is completely different of a normal hall. So we must have all these things in our mind when you have these kind of pieces. And then Mr. Liszt, fantastic pianist, made this miracle of respecting a lot Bach. So we must have the only choice is to know, is this more Liszt or is this more Bach? I think it's more Bach. It's a vision of Bach by Liszt. So more 2 countries from the 27. Thank you very much. It's very demanding for all those voices coming. All they think, my God, I'm going to go on the wrong way. But it's a marvelous piece. It's a beautiful music. And now we are already close. We are in Vienna, or in Hungary, or in Romania, because everything was very flexible at those times. I was thinking that Haydn also have been in England, but I forget this tonight because of the Brexit. I don't mention it. So we keep on Vienna, Budapest, Esterházy, where Haydn was Kapellmeister. And this it's a beautiful sonata I'm going to play. It's a sonata already seeing the future. You know, when we see the history in retrospective, it's so interesting to see those composers who knew what was going to be the future, and those who did not know what was going to be the future, and kept restrained to the past. It's very, very interesting. Haydn, this is, I think, is a pre-Beethoven sonata. Only 2 movements. It's already different of the normal. It normally would be 3 movements at the time. Begins with a slow movement. It's against the rules. The first movement is called Andante Espressivo. In fact, is an andante with some variations, and then a plain rondo. So, sonata number 48 in C major of Haydn. Thank you very much. And now we're in Germany. Now we're in Germany. Not exactly, because Robert Schumann in 1838, where he composed this arabesque, he was sent to Vienna by his professor, Professor Wick, because he wanted to marry his daughter, and he didn't want it. So, sent it to Vienna. All Schumann work, it's in fact dedicated to Clara, with whom he married. Those pieces from Vienna are not officially dedicated to Clara. He couldn't do that. But we know that he sent all the scores from Vienna to Leipzig, and she corrected even on tempi. So obviously, all his work is a declaration of love to his then wife-to-be, which he married later. Why arabesque? I think, Schumann, although it's a very classical mind, he wanted to make a piece that could be free enough, even formally free enough, although you see the theme that goes and comes and goes and comes. And they call it arabesque. If you have been in Marrakesh, or you can imagine this kind of flu, although in the inside, if you are going to analyze, you have theme A, theme B, and coda. So it's very classical, being completely anti-classical as he wanted. And I've chosen also Schumann because he's an extremely literary composer. And then it's a very good bridge to Debussy when we will have, again, a different piano, but it will speak later on. So Schumann, arabesque. It's a very beautiful love declaration. On the same period, he has composed the Kreisleriana, Blumenblätter, and all those pieces are so deeply emotional. And of course, the same instrument must be transformed for each composer. And now, I told this is a bridge to Debussy, although Debussy hated Romanticism. He hated Romanticism, but he was very, very literary. So now we have a different piano. Now we are going to have not only sounds, all the senses must be in this music. You must smell, you must feel. It's the look of the lights, all in this impressionist conception. This work is from over a little bit 100 years, 110 years, from the first decade of this century. This is a mature work from Debussy. And I'm very connected to this composer because my career began with the first prize on the Debussy competition, only Debussy pieces. And this was in Saint-Germain-en-Laye, just the town where he was born. And I think that you must really know the places where the composers were to know what they have seen. It's so different if we have a Baltic conception geographically. If you have Versailles, or if you have the Schwarzwald, it's so completely different that this influences the composer. So then I must go to Saint-Germain-en-Laye, where Louis XIV was born, and this spirit, this revolutionary spirit, someone who really saw what was one of the ways of the future, Claude Debussy. So the three stamp. On this stamp, we have a small step in Spain, because Debussy, on the second one, called Soirée d'Engrenade, is inspired on a postcard. He was only once in Spain, but he was very impressed with the Expo 1889 in Paris, where he met the Javanese gamelan, and he was very impressed with the kind of sonorities from the Asia. Of course, pagode is clearly influenced by that. You have the pentatonic scale all over. Then Soirée d'Engrenade is inspired by Spain. Manuel de Falla, the great Spanish composer, says that there is not one single note that is Spanish on this piece, but everything is Spanish. Even we go further, because he does it with the rhythm of a habanera. So it's even Cuba. We go further than Spain in this Soirée d'Engrenade. And then Jardin sous la pluie, gardens under the rain. It was influenced by a storm in Normandy. And so it's really the typical impressionist image of some feelings. Okay, pagode, Soirée d'Engrenade et Jardin sous la pluie. Thank you. And we are going back to Lisbon, although still staying a little bit in Paris, because Armando José Fernandes, whom I knew very well, because when I was a young student in the 50s, beginning of the 60s, he was professor at the conservatory, so I had classes with him. It's very strange that we play music with the composer next. It's very complicated. But he was an old man, but in the 1920s, he was in Paris, like everyone else, studying with Nadia Boulanger, like everyone else, like Virgil Thompson, like Aaron Copland, like Gershwin. And he didn't follow the steps of Impressionism, of Debussy. He didn't follow the steps of the Vienna school of Schoenberg. And in a way, he was a young Portuguese, romantic Portuguese, neo-romantic, neo-classic. When we were students, we called him Armaninov, because he was a little bit on the pad of Rachmaninoff that also didn't follow at all this kind of... so he was very classic, neoclassic. This is neoclassic, neo-romantic music made in the 20s of the last century by a very important Portuguese professor, whom I've had the honor to have as my professor also. And so I have this personal touch. And I'm going to play 5 preludes. Only one note, as we are speaking this like a family concert. Do you know, when we have 5 preludes, or when we have Chopin 24 preludes, there are 2 different ways of approaching. Either we see 5 pieces, okay, 5 pictures, framed one after the other. It's a possibility. Either we see 5 pieces, but as a one piece, like a mural, where you have 5 spots. It's completely different, the approach, because if we do one by one, we must begin and finish, begin and finish, begin and finish 5 times. If we do the 5 as a whole, we begin in the first, and when I'm playing the first, I must have the 5th in my mind to make like a whole piece in 5 movements, is how I see them. For instance, the interval in between the preludes, they are very important, because it's the time that makes either the respiration, either the connection. So it's so interesting. Sometimes I can play one as an encore, and it's completely different what we do. We must something complete. Here, so it will be 5 preludes as a whole piece, with 5 small movements. And thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to be with you. I'll play for you. I'll play for you.